Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day and a wonderful week. Thank you again for your patience over the weekend. Next couple weekends I'll be very busy, so just heads up on that. I'm not neglecting you. I'm just simply unavailable. All right. So let's take a look here at Solana, see what's going on here, and just to kind of clarify, there's an overextension to the downside, but we did break that ascending type of pattern, the higher highs and higher lows. So that's disadvantageous generally, but we're going to look at a few other things too to recognize kind of what that means for us here. Also, quickly to note too, it looks like the general consensus here, again, this is only based on 11 votes within the last few minutes, but you can see majority of folks think Bitcoin. About 55% of you are roughly expecting Bitcoin at 39,000 before it hits 36. That's an interesting statistic, so keep that in mind too, because a lot of this selling off here is selling pressure from Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a quick little comparison so you can kind of see there is somewhat of a similarity here. You can kind of see the price action for these two coins. Actually, it's a lot easier if we turn this off. So take a look here. So we got the price coming up and down, Bitcoin coming up and then down. Difference is Bitcoin's establishing higher highs and higher lows, whereas Solana is not. Okay, so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it needs to be understood and recognized. We'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and jump into some backend stuff here really quick first, and just note heavy concentration of liquidation still at $60. We've talked about that previously. It's a very large point. In fact, I think we had a lot more over the weekend. What was it, Saturday morning when I reviewed this last? We had a lot at 62. Those have since closed. In other words, probably took some profit or just essentially added to their margin to increase their amount of leverage to the downside. However, that is essentially the case. So $60 is that common denominator. I'm also going to post a larger time frame. Somebody asked me to get like a larger time frame liquidation levels out. I'll go ahead and just touch on that here, but I'll also post this too. And just know there's a heavy concentration from larger time frames at about $50.50. A lot of other stuff at 37, 40, but that's not really something we got to worry about for now. Anyways, just some kind of things on the back end there to recognize. Another cool backend thing here too, check this out. We did have a stop loss for Solana with our day trading bot that triggered, I think it was, that was this morning. But we leveraged those with, or hedged those with long, or shorts rather. So this is a long, so they got stopped out. And we got Avalanche, Matic, Solana, and ETH all compensating for that. So that's exactly why hedge mode is enabled for our day trades there, just so when the momentum does shift, we can catch trades in either direction. But typically we close out our bad trades and replace them with good ones. So 4 good trades with 1 bad trade, that's a good percentage. That's 80%, exactly what we're looking for. Also note too, congrats for our Gala trade, 190%. That's a 5x leverage trade, and same thing with Terra Classic, 108% at 5x leverage. So really cool stuff there. Congrats again to our community members for that. Thank you again for the wonderful feedback. Let's talk about the daily and kind of see what's going on here, because we can see, again, I had this magnet up here because of all that liquidation. Okay? So we'll still keep an eye on it, but generally speaking, that liquidation level is moving down. So once more, just to kind of clarify, right here at $60, this is where all the liquidation is, right above that 0.5 Fibonacci level at about $60. Okay, so again, that's roughly what we're looking at there. If we take a look at a few other factors here, let's go ahead and double check a few things here and kind of see what's going on. So when we look at the stochastic RSI, that's one I want to kind of look at here. We can see we're diverging for the second time here to the downside. Okay, this is the one that usually makes the most sense, or in other words, when you have a second one, it essentially will carry some weight. In other words, with this being overextended to the bottom, there's a good chance we could very well see that reverse. Okay. The key takeaway here, though, is that we have the RSI over 50, and of course, the money flow index is trying to come back up. Okay. Now, smaller time frames will identify a much better scenario for us, or just more understandable. But in the big picture, we're still tentatively bullish. I like to emphasize the word tentative because it's not definitive, but it does help us understand that with us being above 50 on the RSI, we're still in decent shape while we are still diverging, and we've lost some moving averages. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, we're tentatively losing the 50-day SMA. Okay, we closed below $56. This could be a cause for concern. Okay. Now today's candlestick hasn't closed yet, so try to recognize that. And a lot of the selling pressure is based off Bitcoin pulling back. We saw that happen last time. Bitcoin pulled back down to 34.8. Right there, that's what that looks like. Okay. So this is a pullback to the 36,700 range. That's exactly what that looks like. Okay. So what's to say Solana is going to look like when Bitcoin pulls back to 34,000 again? Sorry, if it pulls back to that level, seems fairly likely that it might. Again, if that happens, Solana will pull back. Okay, you got to recognize, as great as Solana is, and a lot of other altcoins are too, once enough happens with Bitcoin and the dominance, and those things kind of start to align themselves, no matter what, profitable coins like this are the ones that be taking profit first. Okay, so we'll see. I wouldn't say a massive dump, but we will see the price action pull back harder than it has already as soon as Bitcoin corrects itself further. Okay, so please note that there is a correlation between those two now, and it's fairly synonymous. Taking a look at the moving averages, we're below 3 out of the 4. We've got the 200-day SMA right here at about 48.50. I have an alert set there as a potential buy spot there based on previous resistances and just an area that I'm considering entry based on that moving average. Okay, so again, we've lost 3 of the 4. That means we are going to see $58 as a new resistance level because, again, we had to close above that level, and we didn't. So the fact that we didn't implies it's still resistance. So $58 is the resistance level for this coin. I got a slight consolation here, and I don't like to trade on consolation, but I do like to kind of emphasize the fact that with us being overextended here with our RSI and, of course, the money flow index, when you see the RSI bouncing off 30, that's typically a good place to consider entry, at least for a short-term reversal. And then the same thing here as well. We kind of almost bounced off that right around 32. That said, though, the money flow index is low and low here. That does imply that we could very well see a similar scenario to this, where the price action continued higher. Okay. So there's a possibility that. Okay? Is it a probability? No, a few things need to happen first. First of all, we need to start slowing down on the divergence, of course, and that could actually start coming here soon with the next few hours where it's starting to plateau. That's usually the sign of a reversal is once you start seeing these oscillators start to dissipate. Okay? But we're not there yet. We're kind of just evened out. All right, so again, if we take a quick look at TD sequential, this is the other thing I like to emphasize. While it could continue lower, this should be the lowest point initially. The reason why I say that is because Solana's really good about hitting 9s, then turning itself around at one point or another. Okay, there's a 9 there, comes back down. We come up to a 7 here, not fully overextended, but we're at a 9 here. Hypothetically, we could see the price return back to 58 and retest that resistance. Okay, so that's essentially what we want to be mindful of and pay attention to. We could also see this previous falling wedge pattern that broke out tentatively. I wouldn't say that was a strong breakout. And if we take a look at Elliott Wave here, this does tell us that we haven't started a new series yet. Okay, so we're still a little tentative on that one here. Take a look at the hourly. Let's see if there's anything else kind of to identify. Massive, massive overextension. You take a look at this here. Came down to a 9, recovered up to a 5, down to another 9, and now we're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles. So we've hit 2 9s on TD sequential in a row, which commonly leads to a reversal. Okay, again, it depends on the time frame. We're hitting the 9 on TD sequential on the 1 hour, and we hit it also on the 4 hour. You combine those all together, it's an overextension likely to be able to recover itself. Again, if Bitcoin doesn't recover, and as you can kind of see the correlation here, right? Bitcoin selling off, Solana selling off. Bitcoin selling off, Solana selling off. If you can kind of identify those two things, then you'd be much more successful. But what I'm getting at here is the massive overextension we're seeing is likely to recover. Again, when I say recover, I don't mean that it's just going to go like this and be done, like this never happened. I'm implying that we could very well see this level retested because that's typically what occurs once lower liquidity levels are swept. Upper liquidity levels are oftentimes targeted. We could see $60 in the near future. Is that a guarantee? No. But right now, it's pretty certain that we are extremely overextended to the downside, and anything further down would be unwarranted unless Bitcoin has a terrible, terrible day. Okay. Last but not least, Ichimoku Cloud. This is basically telling us on all sides here, you shouldn't consider a long position. This comes with exceptions, though, right? With this massive overextension, there is possibility we could be bottoming out, and if so, you may want to consider a long position, obviously if it's going to be with tight top targets for profit. Again, I truly try not to trade against this indication here, because again, what this is telling us, we have tremendous momentum. We're underneath the cloud, and lagging spans free and clear. These are 3 out of 3 indications to keep your short position open. Okay. So again, the cloud is very good about identifying those opportunities. But if in 12, 24 hours from now the price doesn't go any lower, that might be a better consideration for a long. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this coin. We're going to reevaluate later today, and if it looks pretty good, closer to our daily candlestick closure, we're maintaining a volume at about $54, $55, then I think we might be in decent shape to consider a long. But for right now, no trade is the best trade. Again, if you're part of our community, let our scalping trades just continue to scalp. Let them do their thing. It's perfectly fine. And if you're not part of that, welcome to check that out. CryptoCash.tag is the site. Link down below. So I hope that you learned something here today. Please do me a solid and like, subscribe, follow, all that wonderful stuff. We do have a Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. I skipped over this as well. If you use my link to qualify, you're eligible. Okay, as long as you use my link here, you're good to go for this exclusive campaign for Bitunix. Again, free $20 if you just simply trade with futures. Really simple. Okay, so be sure to use that as well. And if you're new to the channel, new to Bitunix, no VPN, no KYC, phenomenal exchange, my favorite by far. So I highly recommend using them because they do help a lot with. They have trailing stop losses, multiple profit targets. It's unlike other exchanges that you've seen. It's really cool. Thanks again, Bitunix. Appreciate you. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Guys and gals, we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thank you.